Seanก็เนียนเนาะ
That is very your attitude about that. I was talking.
But you do that because I bring my...
Let's take a look at how this all started, shall we?
Hi, I'm Grady.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Charisse.
And welcome to Highlights, a show where we recap a reality TV competition show like it's sports, even though it's not. And this season, we are covering the 4th season of Dragula in all of its spooky glory. Before we go over the scoreboard and look at where all of the contestants fall for this week's episode, let's catch up on how we got to where we are today. Previously on Dragula. Last week's episode was Hairy Monsters, where the competitors were tasked with creating hairy monster looks and serving it on the floor show. So the cinematic we opened with last week was the Boulet's Barbershop for Monsters, which was where they make over monsters and make them look as horrifying as possible. I thought this was super cute, actually.
This was so much more fun than the Ghost Ship Glamour one.
I agree. I like this one a lot.
Yeah, this one was pretty short and sweet also, but I thought it was just great from beginning to end. I would watch a whole show about this and a spinoff with that bitch in the middle right there. Just looking amazing. Look at that volume. So
ready for my close-up.
I thought they looked really good too. I loved how the Boulets looked in this.
Beautiful.
Very simple look for them, but I just thought it was really great. And I love their tagline where if you don't look bad, then we don't look good. Okay, moving right along. Okay, so as everybody enters the boudoir this episode, they begin talking about the chaos from the episode before. And Jade talks about putting Betty in the bottom and how toxic it was for everybody. She mentions that she suffers from bipolar disorder and all of these things. So when things like what happened in the last episode happen, it's not really good for her. So she's feeling a certain type of way already as they enter, and they're waiting to see who survived the extermination.
Like with Jade, I feel like she has a lot of speaking her truth in this series, which I kind of like really, I guess, both relate to and really respect. Is like, even though she owns her part in the drama that she does and takes part in, she also like explains like, well, this is why, like, I own what I did and like I shouldn't have done that, but like this is kind of like where I'm coming from and why I do what I do. It just paints her as a very, very real person, which makes her a very, very endearing character.
I would absolutely have to agree. I appreciate the way that they're editing her to make her look like a natural human being with more than one emotion, with more than one, she's really able to express herself a lot better. And we get to see her more as a well-rounded person who can learn and grow, as opposed to, yeah, Jade.
Right.
But I love when Jade gets her. That's my favorite thing.
So you can tell she's had to talk through a lot of her emotions and a lot of like why she is the way she is before, because she speaks very eloquently about her emotions. I have a lot of respect for that.
For sure. And she takes responsibility for her actions and stuff. And like, that's being an adult.
Absolutely.
So as is expected, Hoso and Zavaleta, of course, survived extermination. They entered the boudoir, and then Zavaleta begins to give her own speech to the group about everything that happened last week, apologizing for it, feeling a certain type of way. I will say Hoso doesn't apologize. And I really hope that there's maybe something we didn't get that was edited out for some reason or whatever, but especially after she stood her ground on Twitter about her reaction to her critiques.
She doesn't look very apologetic there at all.
No, she doesn't. And I'm glad that she's back. I'm glad that Hoso is back. But I really like their art. I don't appreciate their attitude.
Definitely. This whole the last couple episodes with Hoso have definitely painted them in a different light for me as a competitor. Like Sheree said, I still like what they do, and their art is still incredibly amazing, but their character is definitely changing my view of them as a competitor.
And it carries through into later this episode, and we'll talk about it.
And it's so weird. I never thought that I would be relating less to Hoso as an audience member and more to Jade as an audience member as the season went on. Who saw that journey coming?
Right. Look at all of us Team Jade now. Like,
I mean, as we should be, but but anyways, so Zavaleta makes her own speech about not liking the way she came off last week, and she shouldn't, and how she's worried that, you know, her mom's gonna see it and she's not gonna like watching it back. I'm sure that was a really awkward week for her, as it aired on Shudder and people began talking about it. But she does apologize specifically to Jade and Sigourney, which I think is a very nice move. And Jade reciprocates that and kind of reiterates some things that she already said to the rest of the group. And they have a moment, and immediately the dynamic in the entire room changes for the better, which I really loved to see.
The journey with this cast has been amazing to see. Just amazing.
Yeah, I hope this side of Zavaleta stays. I feel like Zavaleta's been on this journey of kind of like lashing out, then reflecting and going, not only, oh crap, that's on camera, but also, oh crap, that sounded really, really bad in hindsight. I really need to own that and kind of dissect that and look into why I did that. And you can kind of see the growth there, which is really cool to see, but also she regresses time and time again.
I definitely think as we're entering the second half as well, and all we have left are the strong competitors, we're going to see a lot of interesting things, not only in their behavior, but also how things shake out. And I will say, even though this episode may not have seemed like it, this changed all the stats in a very big way. And I can't wait till we actually get to the scoreboard and talk about it. But really, it's anybody's game. And so it's really going to be interesting in the second half. And it's going to be even more interesting to see how they react to it.
I agree. I'm super excited.
The Jade of it all.
But a couple interesting things happen as they begin prepping their looks for this particular challenge, including a little powwow between Saint and Dahli, which I actually thought was pretty cool. Saint is definitely feeling a type of way about her critiques and how she's performing in the competition and what the Boulets want from her. And it's interesting to watch these two veterans, who are the only two who've actually gone through this before, kind of discuss what that's like, and for Dahli to kind of reassure Saint in such a big way.
No, for sure. I wrote this down before. I feel really bad that Saint feels so much pressure on their shoulders as far as feeling as if they need to carry and represent for everyone. That's a lot. And I can see how that would take the fun out of the competition to feel that much pressure. And I want Saint to have fun. They're such a strong competitor.
Yeah, I definitely get this sense that she's been stuck in her head like through most of the competition, and that really is what kind of like prevents her from going that extra step from really being able to succeed and pull forward as like the top competitor. Because you see she's like almost there with every like runway look, like, but she's so hesitant. Like she can't just like unleash and let herself be like completely themselves. Like there's that hesitation that like, oh, like should I be doing this? And they're overthinking every step. And it's unfortunate to see, because like the stuff that they turn out is amazing. And it really just sucks. But this was a really touching scene to see, and Dahli just being really, really supportive in that way was really cool.
And then we also have this situation where Jade is told by her emergency contact that her cat has passed away, or was at least unresponsive. And then Jade had to be on the phone with the cat and FaceTiming with their friend and all of this stuff while the cat passes away, and feels a certain type of way about being away from home while this is happening. and also trying to push through the competition while this literally just happened the night before.
Oh my goodness, my heart is so broken for Jade. I had lost my best friend before, and it was so tough. And I know she wants to be home, but also going home is going to make it sink in so much more. Like, my heart broke all the way around for Jade this episode. I felt so bad.
Same. Like, nothing hurts quite as much as losing a companion like that. But watching her pretty much sabotage herself as a result of it and not be able to pull herself out of it and basically send herself home, and to go home to essentially nothing. Like, what was, like, the entire time we're watching it, I'm like, girl, what is going home gonna do? Like, you're going home to nothing. That's you know, it's already done. Like, I mean, at least you got to say goodbye in the only way you could have at that time, because you were away. So you're going to ruin your chances at this competition at $100,000 at your legacy in this competition now because you're in your feels about this. Like, I get it. I've lost companions, and it's the most heartbreaking feeling in the world. But, you know, not to sound cliche, this isn't what they would want, for you to throw away your opportunities like this.
I agree. It was a little self-sabotage. It seemed like she wanted to go home. And as soon as she said this, I was like, I feel like Jade isn't going to make it out of this episode. And that was really sad. And I also feel like maybe production kind of threw her a solid, because when we get there, I would have put Jade in the bottom 2 personally, which I actually respect. I think production was actually very sensitive, including the Boulets themselves. Very sensitive to what she was going through, which is great.
I would have to agree.
Mm-hmm. Love that. It is now time for the floor show, and I gotta say, the Boulets looked amazing this week.
I want one of those wigs so bad. I was gagging. Oh my gosh, it looks so cool. Like, imagine if you had like cup holders or something on top. Like, it not only is it fashionable, but functional. Like, honey, please.
Mm-hmm. Air dry your clothes on them.
For sure. Oh my gosh,
right.
I was thinking clothesline.
Functional fashion is a thing.
I love that they talked about not being able to move. You know what I mean? Because they don't really, when you watch the clip back in their presentation, it's very like, look at this. And then that's like all they do. But I loved it. I didn't care.
I love those candid moments where they talk about like the
Me too.
difficulty of being in their costume or in their outfit. Like when they had that scuba tank get up on, like that was the most amazing candid moment. But it's that realism that other show really doesn't really give you, because I'm sure they think it dispels the illusion a little bit. But I like that the Boulets really show that like this is hard work and it's a pain in the butt sometimes, but we do it because we love it.
Bonnie Aaron's super great. She's in the Conjuring universe. She plays the nun. Yeah, and she's been here before. She also does a couple horror films and projects for Shudder as well, so she's definitely well in the family. And you can tell she loves it, which is great.
Horror icon for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she lives for it.
I love how comfortable she was, like up there with them and talking to all the contestants. Like she just seemed very in her element, like not like, you know, sometimes when you get a guest judge who's kind of there and you're like, why are you there? Are you just like, did you just sign up for something you didn't realize your agent signed you up for? No, she definitely knew what she was there to do. And her critiques were really great. She had great back and forth. Like she really enjoyed her experience, and it made us viewing it all that much more a pleasurable experience.
And of course, our other guest judge is the reigning super monster himself, Landon Sider, who looks amazing. First of all,
majestic, just majestic.
Mm-hmm.
Stunning.
Yeah, it's almost like if Wario had like a really good year and got like a makeover.
Oh my god, yes. Like Wario came into some money.
Yeah, it looks amazing. It's so good. And Landon looked like he fit in with the Boulets, like he's there every week. And part of me wishes Landon was, because Landon was actually really good at judging. Okay, so let's get into these performances, shall we?
Yes.
Do it.
So first up, we have Saint. Thoughts? Go.
Okay. I actually really like Saint's look. I thought it was really cool. It was very the dark side of Narnia. I definitely got the critiques though. But the look itself, oh my gosh, like this is a really cool realized character. The makeup is amazing. The down to the sawed off heel of the hoofs, like
Right?
it looks so cool. Like what a great look.
For sure. I totally agree. I love this look. I love the hooves. The performance was okay. But the detail in the hair and the makeup and the jewelry and everything, oh my goodness. Dark Side of Narnia totally sums it up. Oh, breathtaking look.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the fact that she made those hooves out of those heels, complete transformation. Next up, we have Dahli. What did you guys think of Dahli this week?
Okay, I know they got a lot of praise for this look, but how is this not their Monster of Rock look in another shade of fur?
Right.
It's cool. Like I get the troll thing, and if there's one thing Dahli can do, it's bring a character to life on stage. Like much like how Sigourney may not nail the actual look, but can bring it to life via performance. Dahli is very much the same way. But we have seen this character almost 3 times now. I want to see a different character, and it's starting to feel like, well, that's just Dahli, and we just love it.
But there were flats. There were flats. Dahli even wore cute little heels for the Nosferatu beach party. And there are flats in this floor show? What the holy goodness is happening right now?
Yeah, so I was really excited last week when Dahli did something different, because that's what I've been after this entire time, is to see something different from Dahli. And I appreciate this is what Dahli does now, and it's part of Dahli's evolution as an artist. That's great. But I will say, even the little things were like, they weren't willing to put on a wig for Sigourney, even just to mess around with everybody else.
When she used to wear them all the time.
Right.
They used to wear them all the time.
Right. And so it just gets I think the art itself gets a little soapboxy in that way. And I don't really like that, not that it can't stand for something, and not that she can't have a certain style, or they can't have a certain style that they're committing to right now. But I just feel like I need to see more diversity, and they're being praised a little bit for not having it when others are being judged for not having it. You know what I mean? I just feel like Dahli's now getting certain passes on things where others are not. And that's really bothering me, which I actually think is a good moment to bring up Heelgate, if you don't mind providing your extra special report, Charisse.
All of this was done under the guise of Mary Cherry research, by the way, because the competitors were so vocal about Mary Cherry getting passes on certain things. I wanted to go back to the footage and see what was going on. Mary Cherry was wearing heels in the introduction. She was in heels. During the first floor show in the Marshmallow Man costume, Mary Cherry was in heels. Granted, they were biscuit heels, the same ones height-wise that Saint's been getting called out for. However, Mary Cherry was not wearing any shoes at the beach party when she was at anglerfish whatever.
Interesting.
And she was wearing red biscuits in the Weird Wild West floor show before she decided to wear those hideous slippers for the Monsters of Rock challenge. Saint, however, has been wearing black biscuits every single floor show. except for this one. Every single one, it's in the same shoe.
Arguably, Saint is wearing the same shoes. She just cut the heel off.
Fair? Fair enough, Zach. Fair enough.
Yeah, I just feel like the judging is a little skewed sometimes. I don't really understand it sometimes. Okay, so next up we have Sigourney Beaver.
Girl,
My goodness.
to say I was disappointed is such an understatement. Not only in her choice to lean into glamour when this was clearly not a glamour challenge, but just some parts of it just looked downright sloppy. Like the bodysuit, like it looked ill-fitting, like the wrinkles, and it so much about this look took you right out of the illusion, and it just looked, for lack of a better word, I do respect what she does, sloppy. This was a huge swing and a huge miss. I take that back. It wasn't even a huge swing. It was a baby swing and a huge miss.
I absolutely have to agree. Completely underwhelmed. If she had come out completely hairy, and I mean werewolf style, Buffy and the Vampire Slayer werewolf hair, I would have been so impressed with that silhouette squeezed into that dress, hair everywhere.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because the Jessica Rabbit look is exactly what they read her for this week, because she's done it every time. And I agree. Again, I feel like Dahli, for example, also has been in one lane and is generally getting praised for it. But I will say Dahli tends to at least execute it a little better.
Yeah, it's almost like she's afraid to not be pretty. Like that says something within her, that she's afraid to go beyond that boundary for her. Like when she looks in the mirror, like I'll do monster, but that monster still needs to be pretty in my eyes, or I can't do it.
Next up, we have Hoso Terra Toma.
Mothra herself. This was a super cool look. Like, I almost wanted to not like it because she's been so god awful the last couple episodes. But this was what I wish she would have, the kind of artistry I wish she would have done for the glamour challenge, as it actually pertained to the challenge put before her. This was really, really neat. This was like a really, really cool look. 10s across the board. Like this was awesome.
I really like this look. I really like how the costume moved when she performed. I really liked all the different shapes and the way, like the performance was fantastic. The look is fantastic. As an audience member though, based on character and attitude, I'm less in love with her, but this look, this performance, it was fantastic. One of my favorites.
I love this completely. And when she talked about, I think she mentioned Mothman when they were going over like inspirations, and I thought that was genius, right? Mothman is such a huge urban legend and nobody ever pulls from that. And I just thought that was a genius way to go if she could pull it off. And she absolutely did. I don't love that she made like 8 production assistants put her into it. You know? And it seems like this other side of Hoso we've been slowly seeing on camera has actually been there probably the entire time off camera while she's being hype maintenance during her looks. And I think that's really disappointing.
It's unfortunate because all we really see until they mention it is like the level of artistry. It's like you want to go back and it's like, gee, I wonder how much effort it took to get into your cactus outfit, because that was really interesting too. Or I wonder how much your other mother outfit took to get into, and how many helping hands you needed to do that. It's like you see them less and less as the inspirational artist, and more as like you're kind of a pain in the ass. And like, wow, this was a really cool vision. Like, did you really execute it though? Like, or like, did you really do the challenge? Because you needed all this help. All the other competitors did it themselves.
It made me like this less, because I loved it when she came out, and I was like, this is awesome, this is genius. And then they deliberated and brought it up, and I was like, oh. Next up, we have Jade Jolie.
I really like this look. I needed her to scream for me like her cat died this morning. That is what I needed from this look. I'm sorry. I had to say it. I'm sorry.
I agree. I was really hoping she was going to channel all of that pain and frustration from her situation into her performance. And it's like the moment she walked out, you're like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. The look itself, though, wasn't terrible. I'm going to be perfectly honest, though. I did not know it was Krampus until someone said it was Krampus. And I was like, oh, okay, I see it.
I didn't get Krampus either. I also didn't get a monster.
I kind of wished maybe she had used more props so I would have known it was Krampus. And that's normally something I personally critique her for, is like relying heavily on props. But I kind of wish she had used props, so I would have gotten more of a story so I could have been like, oh, okay, this is Krampus, I get it.
Yeah, the look itself, I think, is actually pretty strong. I do wish there was more hair to fit the challenge. Like, I wish maybe part of the outfit maybe was made of hair or something, or I don't know. I just wish something else was there. But this is one of the more monstrous looks she's had, and I actually really enjoyed it. And and even just the shot of like her head coming through her name right there, like if that's not her next like album cover or something, like I don't know. But I thought she was actually pretty strong. I don't think it was bottom 2 compared to some of the other people we got, and we have one more left to go. But I could see where maybe the performance needed to be more, and you could kind of read her energy a little bit. Next up, we have La Zavaleta.
What happened? What is this? Oh my goodness. She said, Cat in the Hat school teacher, something. I don't know what. I don't know what is happening. I get Cat. The performance was very energetic. The rest of it, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I saw this at Spirit this year.
How is it not in the bottom?
Right. And that's actually the point.
Not extermination level in the bottom.
Yes. This is where I think Jade got a way out to exit the competition because of her cat.
I agree. I think maybe like there was some sort of just open and honest conversation on Jade's part where she was just like, look, this is my headspace right now and I don't think I can pull myself out of it. Like, is there any way that we can finish the episode and then I can just leave? I mean, she seems like based on confessionals and what they've shown us in the episodes, that she's pretty in tune with how she feels and is pretty good about expressing that. So I think maybe she shared that with production, and production was like, okay, yeah, we understand, and did her a favor, and which is I think very cool. But boy, did it save La Zavaleta, because this was a train wreck. And Jade, if you see this, like, much respect for your cat. I'm very sorry for your loss.
Agreed, totally agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Much respect for the loss of that and friend.
Yeah, I really feel for Jade, and I think it's okay she left, and I think it's great that they did it the way they did it. I just, it's sad to see her go. So the Blaze start deliberating, and I wish there was a spin-off show of just them sitting in these chairs chatting.
Yes, I would watch that every week.
Just a YouTube show of them critiquing different things in drag.
Yeah, I love it. Just even the way they ended this. It's just so ridiculous. Oh my gosh, I love them so much this season. It's so good. And I want this to be my new like Facebook wallpaper or something. Anyways, dramatic music. Okay, so it's time to get to winners and losers. So Hoso, Terra, Toma, and I think rightfully so, despite everything. wins the challenge and enters the scoreboard with a challenge win, which is really good for her. And it looks like for the most part, everybody agrees, which I think is also actually really positive. Definitely a positive change for the group.
We'll see if this goes to her head in the next episode or not.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that, but it's a good way to bounce back though from where she was last week. So, let her celebrate it. And then we get informed after all the critiques are given, which were actually fantastic this episode. Yeah, it was really good. But we get told that Sigourney and Jade are up for extermination. And they will have to stand in the laboratory while roaches fall on them, which is an interesting extermination, but we'll get to that. So then everybody goes back to the cauldron, and I was trying to look in the background to see what part of Bitter Betty got salvaged to be put on the shelf or whatever. I never quite spotted anything of hers, but let me know if you guys did. But I love that Sigourney almost immediately has a Hoso Terra Toma meltdown, ironically with Hoso sitting next to her. And then you can see the wheels turning and then her walking herself back off the ledge, which I thought was really cool. So she doesn't have a public meltdown like everybody else. But it was very
right there, right in that moment.
Exactly.
You see it on her face.
This is the moment. Here it is. This is the moment where Sigourney pieced it together and walked herself back.
That's the look. That's going to be my phone background.
If I could side-eye myself.
Okay, so then, the cat is out of the bag. And Jade has to tell the cast what's going on. And, opens up about losing her cat literally the night before and all these things. And everybody comes to her aid and says, you know what? We get it,
But you know what? Like how this is the part that kind of frustrates me is like how different might this have turned out if Jade had just opened up at like maybe the beginning of this episode and said, look, this is what happened, you guys, and this is what, because they all noticed it. Like at the beginning of the episode, they all knew like, wow, Jade's being like really quiet, really detached from all of us today. Like, I wonder if she would have really pulled it and, turned it out.
Sigourney and Jade begin their extermination, where they have to stand in the laboratory as roaches fall on top of them. And I have to say, so there's this location called the 17th Door, which is it's like a really intense, like haunted house kind of thing. It's very popular during October. And they're allowed to like touch you and do all kinds of crazy stuff to you while you're there. You have to sign a waiver. But it's where they filmed the very first episode when they did the fright feat, and they had to walk through the maze. It's also where they met for the first time. All of these things. That's all the 17th Door. And the electrocution extermination is also part of the 17th Door. It's one of the rooms there. I do believe this is also. So it looks like they paid that place to use a lot of their locations to maximize doing extermination challenges a little easier, which I think is good in some ways, but I also think it's made some of them a little lackluster compared to things they've already done in the past. But okay, so it's time to figure out who ends up in the barbershop. And surprise, surprise, it is Jade Jolie. Which, as soon as Jade said her cat died, is exactly how I pictured this was going to go, no matter what happened the rest of the episode, which is really unfortunate. I do like the way they filmed this, though. They really spared no expense for Jade. They're like, you get special effects. Mary Cherry got thighs.
Well, that's what you get for getting bumped off in episode 6 instead.
Right, exactly. I loved this whole scene with them, though. I thought it was really cool. And I love when Swan like lowers her glasses and you get to see the red eyes, which we didn't get in the beginning. I was like, love it.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
Mm-hmm. Which she only did to reveal the context.
To prove that they had a full face of makeup on underneath those sunglasses. That's why.
Exactly. All right. Before we get into the scoreboard, it's time for top tweets. let's get into the scoreboard. As always, these are the competitors we started with, and here's who we have left. So Extermination's Jade Jolie has now passed on to the Great Drag Beyond and is in 6th place. Up for Extermination, very interesting. Zavaleta and Sigourney Beaver have now been up for Extermination 2 times each. Saint and Hoso each 1 time. But this is where it gets really interesting because all of the competitors left have won a challenge, meaning there are no frontrunners anymore in the competition. It's back to square one. It's anybody's game. Which brings us to this. So this week's episode is Exorcisters, and it is going to be an acting challenge as all of the competitors are tasked with starring in their very own horror movie.
Nice. I am here for this.
So that means we're all caught up for this week, going into episode 7 of the 4th season of Dragula. And we're definitely in the second half. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited to see where things end up as we get towards the end.
The season's giving me whiplash.
If you are looking for more episodes of highlights, you can find them here on the PG Media channel. You can also follow PG Media on Twitter and on Instagram. And with that being said, as always,
Thank you for watching highlights.
And we'll see you next time.